County here. He directed me to pay attention that some of the work I've done for our garden in our backyard and other gardens in the city, or other people who are interested in having fresh food, I'm already doing AmeriCorps work. From there, sent me over to Dunbar Garden, worked there as an AmeriCorps person. Next thing I know, they are asking me to be executive director there. So I served there for a year. That really gave me a lot of insight in some of the issues in urban communities, and then also us relating as folks living in the central area and having access to food. So from there, that's really prompted my interest and pulled forth the information that I was reading before, books like Food Not Lawns. And that really helped me get more of a perspective of some of the needs that we have in the urban community. So let me jump here with Grace Gardening. We're here in the central Pine Bluff area, in a historic area. We have kind of to the north of us, a women's shelter, a little south, another organization that feeds those who are economically distressed. In fact, 2 organizations there. So our pathway, we get a lot of foot traffic and a lot of car traffic traveling down our area. So my approach with us working here in Pine Bluff, then after my stint with in Little Rock, was to again try to address the needs of the whole person in terms of food security and just security, period. So our theme is we try to promote sustainability in our growing spaces, sustainability in urban growing spaces, and in people. All of our materials made of material that has been donated. So we are primary upcycle and recyclers. We take pallets and make projects, wood and things from our local contractors is a principal source of material that's gotten us this far with such a little budget. So some of the programs, and I really focused on programs immediately versus going the route of seeking lots of grants. We do programs to serve our communities. We do a free farm stand that's right along the street side that started at the in 2021. We collaborate with local food pantries and bring good food from there, along with making available food that we've harvested. We do a monthly yoga in the garden session with one of our local instructors who also teaches in several areas throughout town. Then we also have a campaign that I brought from the Little Rock area called Compost With Us, where we supply buckets and pails for some of our folks that visit the garden, and invite them to give us their food scraps for composting. And then at the end of the season, as we've made the compost, we share that for their plants. I found that to be an immediate project to get even the most squeamish folks who don't like a lot of soil to get involved in our garden space. And then in 2022, we initiated a project to work with 4-H and another nonprofit, the Carpenter's Daughters Apprenticeship Program, to introduce students from the Boys and Girls Club coming over to the garden twice a week to building skills. And from there, we got to do some subsidiary things. We got to challenge some of our elder retired chefs to make good food out of some of the food that we were harvesting and putting on our food free farm stand to engage the students in trying different food, in which case I got to introduce the students to kombucha, good spring water and such. Later on, we took groups of I call them our knowledge keepers, several adults, seniors, folks from different age groups, to the public library here to work with us, and we learned how to make kombucha ourselves. And when we know that kombucha as a probiotic is very important for keeping the immune system healthy, and we wanted to make sure that we have things like that available, especially with those students, to keep them away from Gatorade and Kool-Aid and soda as we were serving them food. So our hopes with this in the future here, that we'll be able to expand some of our partnerships more. Right now, we are involved in getting a driveway put in so that we can have our elders who are in wheelchairs and walkers have better access to the garden. And we're just in a complete construction phase as we are as everybody's getting ready to get in town and homecoming. So we're very appreciative. Thank you much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Long, for your presentation. Do we have Dr. Jimmy Parks with us today?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I'm having a little technical difficulty too. I'm on the phone, but if you can hear me, I'll tell you a little bit about what we're doing.
Okay.
My name is Jimmy Parks. I've been working in urban agriculture for the last, I don't know, almost 10 years, I guess. And right now I'm working with 3 nonprofits, the Arkansas Interfaith Power and Light. They've been working with us for a long time to start community gardens and backyard gardens around Little Rock and North Little Rock for the last 10 years. The Village Place is helped us get some young people into the gardens. They're in the South End neighborhood in Little Rock, where we're kind of focusing right now. And then I'm representing today Urban Patchwork, which is a nonprofit that we just got started, really an education based group to help teach people about growing their own food. And we applied for this grant to get some help with our hauling dirt, because here in Little Rock, North Little Rock, we don't have a lot of good soil. Kind of in the hills, dig down very deep, you get to that shale and hard rock. So most of us build beds above the ground, or we haul dirt in. And so since we help people get gardens started around here, it's important to us to have a way to get that soil to them to get it going. But we do mushrooms and chickens and bees and any kind of vegetable you can think of, loofahs, anything related to food, growing your own food. We probably got a hand in it. We've helped well over 200 gardeners over the last few years. We have a network of growers now that help each other out. We've got a lot of experts that we can call on to teach our classes. Anyway, a lot of fun stuff. I appreciate you being on. I'll put my email in this thread. I'd like to hear from any of y'all who want to collaborate. And that's about all I got to say, I guess.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions for Dr. Parks? Okay, our next presenter will be Dr. Patricia Wright. She
She is on.
she is on. She's still having difficulties. Is Ms. Hadley on to speak on your behalf?
And her mic is open, but you can't hear anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
That work?
It's very, very muted.
Very neat, yeah.
So Ms. Wright, can you call in and we can come back to you if you call by phone? Can we send her the information to dial in? That way, if it's not coming through the computer.
Okay.
Dr. Fagan, I think she can hear you because she picked her phone up.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted. Pat, are you ready?
Ms. Hadley, if you want to start.
Okay, I guess I shouldn't be at work and trying to do a Zoom, but here we are. Good morning, everyone. Ernestine Hatley here. I don't know if you can see me, but I hope you can hear me pretty good. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, outstanding. Well, Pat and I started this adventure. She talked me into doing it. Just kidding. I was very eager to be a part of this. And then we're at the beginning stages of creating the Clark County Community Garden. I think that's what we're going to call it. Is that correct, Pat?
Yes.
We're going to name it the Clark County Community Garden. And if you can see, can you guys see? I don't have a slide ready for you. I'm just going to try to go down the line based on what we put together. The Community Family Enrichment Center Community Garden is located in Feaster Park. Feaster Park is historically African-American Black area of Arkadelphia, but the beauty of it, it's in an area that's accessible to everyone, the aquatic center and everything. It's a high visibility area. It's also behind the food pantry, which is even better. Pat runs the food pantry for Clark County. She runs everything for Clark County, really. And the food pantry is located, the garden is located adjacent to the food pantry, which would make it easier for the food pantry to get access to the garden, and we'll be able to share as much as possible. But our specific goal for the community garden will be to improve the park by adding a garden to the park. The garden will provide fresh and nutritious food for the food pantry. The garden will provide an opportunity for community members of all ages to work together in an outdoor environment. The second component includes the beautification of the park to include herbs and flowers. The community participants include the Arkadelphia Head Start Children, the Adult Education Center program, and the food pantry participants. And volunteers will include parents, high school, college students, and retirees. Based on the planning chart that we were exposed to yesterday, thank you for all that information. We have experienced gardeners already available to us for assistance anytime we need it, which I am one of those experienced gardeners. And we will follow the 10-step process. After attending the conference yesterday, I learned so much. I was exposed to so many different resources that I had no idea were available to us for a community project of this nature. And I'm very thankful for that information. And yes, we will be calling on everyone with resources to assist, whether it's financial or whether it's knowledge base or anyone who's already done this in the past and can give us any assistance in understanding how to do certain things. Growing stuff is pretty easy if you ever done it, but planting a garden is something totally different. And we will be calling on people to come out and lend us support and helping us to plan something that's going to beautify the area, benefit the participants, benefit Clark County, and help with our food desert, because we are in one. And we have, our income ratio is not that great in Clark County. And it's extremely rural areas that people do not have access to fresh vegetables. So this will be a major benefit for our low income, our single moms, people who just can't necessarily afford to go to Walmart or go to Brookshire's or wherever and buy fresh food because of the cost or because of the distance. Pat, you have anything to input?
No. Very good job.
Do you guys have any questions for us or for me?
Ms. Hadley, we looking forward to coming to visit you as well, you and Dr. Wright. So when it's time for y'all to break ground, let us know. We're going to come out and celebrate with you.
Well, actually, I want you there prior to breaking ground, because I think we might need some assistance with organization, how things should be set up logically. You know, I grow a lot of stuff on our farm in Bern, Arkansas. But this is a total different, because I'm in open fields. I've got fields, I have rows. We're going to be using containers and et cetera, which is a little different than having to be able to drive a tractor or tiller down a field. So that part of planting a garden, I'm going to be calling on people in advance just to make sure that from the base up, that we're starting out with the proper nutritional soil that's going to yield us the most vegetables for our community. So breaking ground is good, but I want somebody's before the ground's broken. And we'll definitely invite everyone down when it's time for the groundbreaking, when we're ready to open up and say, here's our garden, here we go. But thank you. And that's all I have.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, do you all have a farm number for your garden to be able to be eligible for those NRCS programs, like getting high tunnel and irrigation and things like that?
Are you referencing the garden or the farm?
The garden, you can get it for a small
No,
plot, even in the
This is
city.
an initial project. We are just starting on this project. And like I said, based on what I learned yesterday and on all the briefers and the different resources, we're in the initial stages of planning. So no, we do not.
Well, the food can as well, he got his number for their community garden.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. I'm not sure who was talking. Could you repeat your comment, please?
Yes, could you repeat your comment, please? Okay. Well, we want to thank all our awardees for being awarded the Community Garden Initiative. Mr. Nick Harris, Dr. Jimmy Parks, Ms. Lisa Jones, Mr. Lynn Cook, Ms. Long, and Dr. Patricia Wright. Yeah. We also just want to encourage everybody to support community garden projects in your community. Gardens provide food and social environments that are healing to our bodies and souls. And if you don't want to start one, please join or give your talents and ideas to help our community gardens grow.
And Sandal, and I just want to add, I put it in the chat, but the Little Rock chapters of the Links Incorporated are helping to fund our community gardens project. This is part of our Black Care initiative through Baxter. So I put the link to the Black Care project in the chat, just in case anyone is interested in learning more about that project. So I want to thank the Links for committing to helping to fund these gardens, along with the Center for Research, Health, and Social Justice, and also our new partnership with the Finks Foundation. And we're looking forward to working with them as well. And all of the people who were funded in state, our new HBCU partner, Dillard. We are so excited. And Nick, we coming to New Orleans too. We're coming to visit you as well. So we look forward to it. Sandalyn, I'm turning it back over to you.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to thank everybody for being here again for our day 2 of the conference. If you weren't in person with us yesterday, I just want to let you guys know that you missed a great treat yesterday. We had wonderful presenters yesterday as well, and basically great partnerships and connecting with people at the conference yesterday, along with our wonderful vendors that we had. We got to experience some great food, African food, Jamaican food, and vegan food. So we got to explore our palates yesterday. So that was wonderful as well. Right. And next on our agenda, we will have a town hall meeting discussing food sustainability in Black and rural communities with our experts, moderators, and panelists. Our moderator for this portion will be Mr. Kwame Aldube. And for the panelists, we will have Mr. Jeffrey Webb and Mr. Ofemi, also called Obi. Right.
I'm assuming I have the floor now.
Bishop, do we have Bishop Harris?
All right. First of all, I want to thank all of you over there, the team at UAMS, for putting this entire program together. It's a very informative program. And it's, I hope that everyone that's on this Zoom and everyone that participated in person yesterday will take the information and use it immediately. Today, we're going to have a discussion, and this discussion will be pretty much like a barbershop discussion, but it's going to be PG rated. And we're going to just be talking about food sustainability in the Black community and in rural communities throughout Arkansas. We have 2 people, just like the presenters that you just had presenting. We have 2 people that have their hands dirty in food here in Arkansas. And I want to give them an opportunity to first introduce themselves, tell us their origin story, and then we will get into our discussion on saving Black and rural lives through food sustainability. I want to first start, since we have 2 different types of farms here. We have an urban farm, we have a rural farm, we have a large scale farm, we have a community garden farm. But I want to start with Jeffrey Webb. Jeffrey Webb, would you just give us your origin story? Tell us who you are and from whence you came and why you're here today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you all for having me. But as you know, I'm Jeff. I'm out of McCory, Arkansas. Little small little town, 1,200 people, northeastern Arkansas. Well, it's about 1,800 people. But I started out, as an adolescent, watching my dad, watching my grandfather and them, prep the land. They were raising hogs and basically anything that my grandmother wanted to cook, you know, like greens and stuff like that. We had chickens and stuff. And I can remember just, you know, growing up and being around all of that, but not having the strict duties like getting up, milking the cows and, you know, getting collecting the eggs and stuff. Yeah, I did a lot of that, but it wasn't mandatory. But, you know, and just moving forward, you know, just seeing all that, you know, growing up, I was pretty much housed, you know, as in spoiled by my parents. So I didn't have to do a lot of hard work as the older generation. But you know, and reason why I say all that because you know it's a lot of times you know nowadays with me farming, I tend to tell myself, man, I wished I would have listened to what my daddy said. He was through this problem and etc.
Okay, he fell off and we will get him back on as soon as we can. To reiterate what we heard, he grew up on a farm in northeastern Arkansas. And in growing up in that farm, it appears that he grew up with several siblings and he was the younger of those siblings and did not necessarily have to. Okay, there you are.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. It was another call that was coming. I don't know too much about these gadgets here, but
but you know about farming.
Yes, sir. Oh yeah. Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Continue your story.
But yeah, you know, I wasn't forced to do it, you know, but now it's like, man, I wish my parents would have forced me to do it because I know what to do at these times. So being, you know, a young African American in 2017 when I inherited my father had passed, etc., and I had inherited about 10 acres. And where these 10 acres is at, the city had been trying to get these 10 acres from us for years, for decades, to build city infrastructure, such as they were going to build a well. They was going to drill the city well on our property because they had the sewage plant that was already behind us. And so we had to deal with those elements, you know, in farming the whole entire time. You know, they had come through and claim that they're, you know, taking care of their land by spraying Roundup and stuff around their place, killing the grass. And a lot of times, you know, we get drip onto our crops and it'll kill our crops. And never not one time have I ever heard my dad or even I hear of the city for that. So that's another, you know, thing that we had to overcome. You know, when it happens, you gotta bite the bullet and keep going, you know. So but anyways, in 2017, I got the land and started farming. I went to USDA and got and then, you know, got a micro loan. Actually, I went to a fellow named Dr. King in Fargo, Arkansas. Him and his group does a lot of wonderful stuff down in Fargo. But they helped me, Dr. King himself, you know, they worked with me and helped me get the micro loan. So the first amount that we got was $50,000, and I went and got a tractor. So you got to be mindful. For a year and a half, I didn't have nothing but a shovel, and I was still getting crops in. You know, still planting the 5 acres. You know, and you know, I was planting, you know, watermelon, greens, tomatoes, you name it. If we can eat it, human can consume it. I was planting it. So I got the $50,000 loan, got me a tractor, and got all that stuff going. But it's one thing that I do got to say that I later found out that USDA wasn't supposed to do my loan like that. The gentleman that I went and got the loan from, the loan officer with USDA, he was, I guess what you call it, nickeling and diming me, because, okay, say for instance, when you're dealing with produce, anything can happen due to the weather. So it had got really cold, and I can remember, I wasn't scheduled to harvest until August, and it had got kind of cold, and it had started knocking back my cabbage, my summer cabbage that I had put in, and I needed straw.
Jeffrey, let me interrupt you there for a second, because what I want to do right now is just do an introduction right now, because what you're talking about is very important, and everyone needs to hear about it. So I want us to be able to frame that conversation because it speaks with some of the elements that leads to food insecurity in Black and rural communities. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and give Brother Obafemi an opportunity to tell us his origin story as well. Is that okay with you, brother?
Yeah.
Oh, Obafemi, tell us your origin story. How did you start getting your hands in the dirt?
Peace, everybody, and glad to be here. Thank you, Kwame. How do I get started? I would say, man, just paying attention to those who came before me. I saw both of my parents involved in some type of way. My mother always had house plants. My father had a garden in the backyard. I saw my grandparents growing something outside the house. So I would say just kind of a natural progression. For me personally, once I started making some changes within my diet and going into the grocery stores and looking at the prices of fruits and vegetables and stuff like this, and the stuff that they say is supposed to be healthy, I'm like, man, they really taxing for this type of stuff. So I was going down to my father. My father's still growing to this day, and so I would help him in his garden.
On a farm.
Yes, my father has I would say about maybe an acre and a half. But, it's all done by hand pretty much. So I was helping him where I was living. I had backyard, I had space. One day I just decided to break ground. I had access to some tools. So I did about 3 little 6-foot rows when I bought some collard greens, some tomatoes, bell pepper, something like that. And I just got started. I was in 2011. That's my first time I personally just started to grow. So I've been growing ever since 2011. Just kind of expanded until I pretty much planted most of my space in my backyard. And we were doing community cleanups. The community cleanups, we seeing vacant lots in the community. I'm trying to share what I was doing in my backyard with people. That led to us establishing a lot. One of my brothers had a residential lot that he owned behind a house that he used to own. So he said, hey, y'all can use this space to start growing. So 2017 GSC Community Gardens was born. So we've been on that since 2017. So that's kind of my backstory.
Wonderful. I appreciate that. One of the common elements that both of you spoke of is about generational knowledge. Generational knowledge being handed down from your parents to yourselves, or not being handed down from your parents to yourselves. And I see in the chat that Sandra kind of feels the way you're feeling, Jeffrey, as far as how both of you kind of neglected that opportunity of grabbing that generational knowledge. And I'm bringing up the generational knowledge and because there are 2 things that are important on this day in particular. Today is October 17th. Yesterday was October 16th, the anniversary of the Million Man March. And we see 2 of you brothers that are actually living out one of the tenets that the Million Man March brought to the Black community. Another thing is October the 15th was the anniversary of the founding of the Black Panther Party. I bring up the Black Panther Party because the Black Panther Party, one of their core elements that actually got them in trouble with the FBI, and when they started this particular program, that's when the FBI actually started investigating them. And that's their free food program where they started feeding the community. And they started feeding the community because there was a lack of access to food within their community. So they said, we're going to go work with farmers and we're going to get this food and we're going to bring this food to the community, and we're going to make sure that our community members are properly fed. When you think about that legacy, and then you bring it back to today, and we're just talking here, so I'm not asking questions for you to answer, we're having a conversation. But when you think about that legacy, how does that relate to today, particularly when the USDA's name has come up several times in this conversation and previous conversations. The USDA's food program that they have in schools right now is based on the Black Panther Party's food program. It was inspired by the Black Panther Party's food program. What is food? Both of you, we had a conversation about food. So let's talk about that. Before we can talk about food security, before we can talk about food justice, we have to define food. What is food? What do you guys think food is?
Yeah, so I mean, I would say food is on many different levels, but we're just talking about our basic sustenance that we need in order to survive. So, I mean, food is physical, food is mental, food is spiritual as well. They all of those different aspects are used to feed those parts and aspects of ourselves. So we need mental food, we need spiritual food, we need physical food, and the quality of your food is going to impact the quality of your life.
The quality of your food is going to impact the quality of your life.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Jeff, you talked about yesterday about redefining soul food. When you think about food and your interest in redefining soul food, talk to us about that.
So, as far as soul, redefining soul food. So instead of us going out there, cooking pork, because that's one of your most dangerous foods there is. Me personally, I don't consider pork food. I consider it as what it is. It's poison to the body, to the human makeup. So just redefining it as instead of us going out here cooking 4 or 5 different types of meats and all this unhealthy food, let's redefine it as let's possibly I forgot the actual name of it. It's dealing with Lord behold, it's a diet. It starts with a P. If somebody can help me out. It's dealing with fish. Fish is in your diet.
Are you doing like a Mediterranean diet? Is that what you're talking about?
Play-Doh.
Pescatarian.
Pescatarian.
Yes.
Okay, that's what you're talking about.
Yes, pescatarian. Yes, that right there. So if we can change that into that, because just going back and looking at history, every person's big mother. Just think of the every family's big mother. What she consisted of. I mean, she was, I'm going off my big mother too as well. My big mother, I mean, she was overweight, diabetes, and she always complained about, her joints, which is gout, and arthritis, and all that plays in a factor with pork, because, that is one of the cheapest and the most cheap, you won't believe what I could feed my hogs out here. And the only reason why I got hogs is because we're feeding them organic food, and that's the help, because I know that some of my people, it's hard to get rid of that bacon, and it's hard to get rid of that pork chop. So I'm gonna take it amongst myself to try to help with that, and don't feed them unclean stuff that I would feed that I would eat as well. So if we all can, it can actually start with one person in each family. So if we can touch one person in each family to preach these same practices, and just like you just brought up about the Black Panther, I drive a lot of my stuff that I do. I drive off of that right there, off those learnings and preachings as well.
So, Brother Ofemi, you were getting ready to say something? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Just to kind of add to what he was just speaking on about the pork. So I think that that's one of the first dietary changes that I made on my journey. I think about 2004, 2005. I was reading. Just to take it back a little bit. So I'm also a recording artist. So I make hip hop music, things like that. So I grew up listening to a lot of rap. I'm 44 years old, and there was a group named Boogie Down Productions. If y'all not familiar with it, the
KRS-One.
KRS-One. So he had an album called Edutainment, and on this album, this came out when I was 11 years old. He had a song called Beef, and
What a relief.
Yeah,
when the poisonous products cease.
This is a public service announcement. So this song was detailing how this cow went from the factory farm, the slaughter, and how it gets to your plate. And this song stuck in my head at 11 years old. But I wasn't making my food choices at that time. Fast forward till I got into my early 20s. That song reference, I went and found, he mentioned in this song, read the book How to Eat to Live by Elijah Muhammad. It's a brown paperback. So I end up downloading this book online, started reading this book, and that book was the catalyst to help me take pork out of my diet in 2005. And I'm saying all of that to say, there are different ways that we come into, I would say, consciousness as it relates to our diet. Sometimes it's going to the doctor, and the doctor may give you a death sentence. You know what I'm saying? The doctors may say, hey, if you don't stop doing this, you ain't gonna have too much longer to live. Sometimes it's just information, study, and research. Sometimes it's just based on a lifestyle change. So we all grow in different ways. For me, that was one of the first dietary changes that I made.
And another thing is, I would like to say this and put this on everybody else's mind. Instead of next time when we become ill or feel something that we need to go to the doctor, before you go to that doctor, please go. You can Google it. Everything is on Google nowadays. Google what type of food that you should do or that you can eat. Honey is a good thing too as well. But you got other things like kale. You got other things like, cabbage as well. Because medicine hurts you even more.
One thing that I'm hearing is that we need to increase the quality of our food. That I think that's what I'm hearing. And when we increase the quality of our food, that's going to help us a long way. But there's one thing that you said, Brother OB, that brought me into, I have a chart here that I'm looking at, and it talks about the 4 different levels, the spectrum of food access. And that spectrum starts at food enterprise, goes to food security, goes to food justice, and then to food sovereignty. So that's the spectrum of food access. Food enterprise. Food enterprise is the commercialization of food, where you have corporate farms that they're growing food for one reason and one reason only, to make money. Then
Right.
you have food security, where you're kind of making sure that everyone has a minimum amount of food for themselves. They're making sure that the food is not going to kill you immediately after you eat it, but it's going to give you some type of certification or whatever. Next, you have food justice. Food justice is when you bring in the aspect that there are some communities that just do not have proper access to food. They do. And our brother Obi, you were telling me that yesterday when you were at the in-person event, you learned the word food swamp.
Right.
And that kind of messed you up, right?
Yeah. I never heard of a food swamp.
A food swamp, food deserts coexist. So food justice is realizing that there are communities that do not have access to proper food, that quality of food that we talked about. And then finally, we have food sovereignty. And food sovereignty, that's when you get into the land aspect. And that's where I want to start in this conversation right now, because both of you talked about wanting to talk about that spectrum. But I want to talk about food sovereignty because we all have a limited amount of time, and we got to talk about the importance of acquiring land, our own land, to grow our own food. And both of you have gone through that process of either acquiring land or protecting land. Jeff, and this is where you can start talking about what you were talking about earlier, protecting the land that you currently have. But before we go into your protecting your land, Jeff, Brother Obi, how did you acquire the land? Because you have a beautiful garden there in Pine Bluff. And Audrey Long was on here earlier, and I know both of you are shoulder and shoulder in making food accessible there in Pine Bluff. But how did you acquire your lot, and how did you get started in that process?
Again, what we did was, like I said, we started off doing community cleanups. We go into different parts of town, and just seeing all the different empty lots. And one of the brothers that I do music with, he owned a house, and there was an empty lot behind it that was trash. He owned that lot as well. And so he allowed us to use the lot. So we started utilizing this lot as the community garden. But on this whole block, there are no homes on the whole block. So all of the rest of the lots on this block are empty. So we had one particular lot that was right beside it where the grass and stuff was grown up, maybe 8, it was huge. We reached out to the owners, made some phone calls and things like this, through the court systems. If you can show that you're maintaining a residential lot and you keeping some records, receipts that you've been taking care of this lot, the city will gift you lots in some cases, or you can pay a minimal fee. Like residential lots with nothing on them here in Pine Bluff can start at as little as $100. So it's very accessible to get lots. We actually applied and registered our community garden, so we have a farm number now. So we're in.
She talked about that earlier.
Yeah. So we official right now.
And I'm glad that you brought that up, because I wanted to talk about that. We have an opportunity, even in urban areas, to acquire vacant land or land that's just left untaken care of, unattended to. I know in the city of Little Rock, there's a land bank. you can literally go to that land bank and get lots that the city owns and start putting your farm together. Just like you stated, there is a process through the courts where you can acquire land that has been left there. So there are opportunities to get land so that you can begin the process of growing your own food. Brother Jeffrey, you came through yours through air property. And that's a whole other conversation when we talk about land theft and land acquisition. Tell me, what are you doing to protect your ownership of the land that you inherited?
Well, one of the things now that just studying, just being all honesty, just now I'm studying more laws and stuff. Okay, so right now in the state of Arkansas, I just found out the other day, if I was to put a memorial tree up there, that's less taxes that you could pay towards that property. So one of the adverses, I just to kind of stay on topic, a month ago, the city, the sheriff office came to my farm while I was out there farming, and served me some paperwork on attempt to foreclosure on my farm. And it's because every time, and I just got to say, kind of call it what it is. I was very naive to the law that every year for 3 years, when I went in to pay my property taxes on my vehicle to renew my tags, I thought I was paying for my property taxes. And I didn't know there was a difference between property, your actual personal property, and land taxes.
Yeah.
So for 3 years, the city, they obviously they knew it. They knew that I was I was a naive, dumb Negro, that I didn't know the law. So in return, they used one of the oldest tricks in the books, and they started sending my tax papers every year, where they say, hey, you need to pay your property taxes this year, or it's going to go in delinquency. They would send it to a different address that I knew nothing about. So for 3 years, so in the state of Arkansas, you got 3 years that you can let your taxes build up until it goes into farm foreclosure. Therefore, it doesn't matter if it's a farm or a house or a lot. 3 years of unpaid taxes, you're delinquent, and they can foreclose on you. So when they served me the paperwork, I had to pay almost almost $4,000. Well, it was $3,800, $4,000. But however, I had to come up with that money in 30 days. So there was a trick behind it. And I had just lost my watermelons. I had just lost, 10, it was almost 10 acres of watermelon due to the heat and not having insurance. It's because, it's kind of hard getting insurance on watermelons. What I have found it to be, because now that's one of, you have to catch, NAP during some kind of closing season. I really don't use NAP insurance because, we always.
What insurance is that you just said? NAP insurance?
Yes, sir. NAP insurance. It's through, and it's free. You don't even have to have, you don't have to, just say if you got one row of 20 feet, 20-foot row of collard greens, you can get insurance on it, and you just got to go into USDA and tell them, give them what they call a crop acreage report. So even though if you're not growing acreage, they just call it acreage, but you definitely can go in and get free insurance through the NAP. So I guess what I'm kind of getting around is, that's a great system. Just because I don't use it don't mean it's not good for the next person. So
and I appreciate you brought that up, and I appreciate that. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Kitty Hunt in the chat was going exactly where I was getting ready to go. We have to make sure that we are feeding ourselves with the knowledge and information that we need to protect our food sources. And I'm
Right.
glad that you brought up and that you were transparent in talking about your own naivety in your taxes. And I'm glad that you got that situation resolved. I'm glad that I was able to buy a couple of $100 of honey from you to help you out.
Yes,
But I think that it's vitally important that we do not allow our ignorance to contribute to our access to food. When we think about food access, food sustainability, one thing that we have to realize is that food justice is part of a larger movement called environmental justice. And we have to realize that, you know, you're talking about insurance on your watermelons. I'm sure that both of you guys are experiencing some effects of climate change. And I want you to have an opportunity to talk about the way that our seasons are, you know, confusing all of us. How's that playing into you being able to grow food the way that you used to?
I would say for us, just, you know, paying attention to the subtle changes. Like I would say I'm very I'm an observer. So
okay.
I also last year I joined the Jefferson County Master Gardeners program.
All right, I'm a Pulaski County Master Gardener, so
yeah. So some of the things that have you know, information that I have access to has helped, I would say, to a certain degree, for us to better plan what we're going to grow, when we need to harvest. But some of the things I would say, climate change is affecting, you know, you could say the pollinators coming in and doing the work that they're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the flowers and herbs that we decide to grow to help increase those pollinators to come to the garden. I think climate change has affected some of those. The level of heat, the amount of heat and the periods of extreme heat that we're seeing, I think, is being affected by climate change. So, you know, having access to consistent irrigation, or like Miss Audrey said, she does a rainwater catchment system. We collect rainwater as well at GSC Community Gardens. So we use that to kind of supplement, you know, getting the water filtered from the system, you know, the main line. So we use rainwater as well. We catch the rainwater. So those are some ways that we are working to deal with the differences, the different things we get thrown at as far as climate change is concerned.
And Jeffrey, you talked about losing your 10 acres of watermelons. Is there anything else that's going on with that's kind of affecting what you're able to do?
Yes, sir. I do got to say this: pollution, air pollution. Because one thing I did see this year, I did see that, you know, the bees did not pollinate the watermelons like they did in previous years. It wouldn't take that long, and they are very. I do got to say that, you know, each year, I mean, I'm trying to compare last year to this year, and just, you know, I really didn't want to plant them this year. I wanted to plant it something else, but this contract that I had didn't allow me to do that. And I kind of called it. I kind of called this year was going to be a bad year, because last year was a great year, you know, for watermelon. But the temperature towards the end, you know, we were dealing with, you know, in August, last year we were dealing with, 90 to 100-degree weather. And then now this year, it's, same exact thing almost, but we're a lot cooler than what we were last year too.
I got a question for you. I grew up, my grandmother and grandfather, they, next to their Bibles, they had the Farmer's Almanac, and they
Correct.
used it religiously. Do you guys dabble in Farmer Almanacism?
on some things, man, on some things, that Farmer's Almanac will kind of help you, I guess, in relating, when to plant your plant. It really does help you on far as planting.
I've used it sparingly, looking into the almanacs, just looking into, I do a lot of, I would say, research. So just researching some of the work of Benjamin Banneker, researching some of the work of George Washington Carver. Both of those men, I would say, were
pioneers
of our time.
Since you dropping names, I'm going to drop a name for you. Since you dropping names, let's go ahead and let's talk about Fannie Lou Hamer and the Freedom Farm Cooperative out of Mississippi. If anybody on this call does not know about the Freedom Farm Cooperative out of Mississippi and Fannie Lou Hamer's work in food justice and food security, I challenge you when you leave this call to do that research, Wikipedia her, and find out how the brother that recently died, Harry Belafonte, that's him, right? Harry Belafonte loaned Fannie Lou Hamer the money to buy up to 300 acres of land so that she can farm for her community. And she fed, I think it was up to 2,000 families off of that land. So I just want to drop her name into this discussion. And I also want to open it up. I know that we are running out of time. We have about 20, 30 minutes left. So I want to give anybody that's on the call listening to us have this conversation and they want to jump in the conversation and ask a question out of any one of us, please let us know. If you throw it in the chat, say, hey, I want to come on and jump in this conversation, you're more than welcome to do so. As far as I'm looking over my notes because Jeffrey, I wanted to make sure that you said it was vitally important that we also talk about the importance of making sure that the younger generation is involved in food sustainability processes. And I want to know, first of all, you can articulate what you articulated to me. And I know, Brother Obafemi, you work with young people on a regular, consistent basis. Even your own children are out there getting their hands dirty as well. So Jeffrey, when you talked about the importance of young Black and young rural Arkansans getting their hands dirty in the soil, tell us how you were feeling about that.
Yes, sir. Because after me and Mr. Obafemi, after me and him, there's after we are gone, then where is the Black farmer at then? If we don't attract more younger Black farmers, so and just for one, I just didn't really like the percentage. We're at like 2-3% farmers are Black, coming from an 86%, but I just enjoyed. Just being honest, we got 13 students that's coming up and that we're training to be beekeepers. And it's
13
from our
students that you're training to be beekeepers.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about that.
Not only beekeepers, but also as well as farmers. But it all started out beekeeping though. But anyways, and I'm still learning. But this is where I'm getting at right here. So kids nowadays, they are more into like this whole hip hop, cool, like, okay, Finesse 2 Times just said this the other day. He said, man, on the post, he was like, hey, I want to talk to the guy that thinks going to school every day and getting an A and studying for class, that's called being square. So basically what he's doing, he's changing the perception of everybody's thought, like, hey man, I gotta have a gun, that's the only way I'm gonna be cool, or I gotta go out here and sell drugs, that's the only way to be being cool, and it's not, you know. And I kind of
So you're making
this.
farming and beekeeping cool.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Basically, at the end of the day, you know, because I'm out here doing the same thing as they, you know, as they is. You know, I'm 37. You know, I got kids of my own. However, I'm showing up to football games. You know, I'm showing up to basketball games, and they look up to me. You know, and I'm active in the neighborhood. So, and it's gonna be left up to us. I mean, we got to help save our generation. You know, save the next generation, as in, because you know the rate they kind of going. I do got to say that, you know, it's kind of, they're kind of doomed already, so to speak. But it's gonna take people like, you know, you and I to attract them to farming. And and one main thing I do notice about those kids is they love money. So if we can get them up in there and, you know, get them trained up, get them a USDA loan, help them get that loan, you know, and you know, acquire some land. I mean, because, you know, USDA, they do help with buying land, you know, and the application, it just seems, you know, when you see that paperwork from USDA, it seems hard, but it's not. It's a numbers game, you know. So
and even that, you know, Clarice and I, we've gone to UAPB on a couple of occasions, and we do have resources. UAPB has a great outlet for assistance that you should not sleep on. Brother Obafemi and I, we're both master gardeners. So each county has their cooperative extension service that you can reach out to as well. So definitely everyone, not only you use that information, but you get that information out to others. Obafemi, you're getting out the information another way through MCE, and you even have a song called Food that talks about food sustainability and food justice. So talk about that, and then while you're talking about it or after you talk about it, drop the link to the YouTube in the chat so that people can see your work, brother.
Definitely. Yeah, so you know, I've been doing music for about 20 years, man. But just using the music, I would say, as an outreach tool. It's community building, it's organizing. So I don't, you know, just looking at those artists that help to inspire me, like the music, I call it edutainment. It's soul music. You know, I put my hands in the soil, so that's part of the soul that comes out in the music. So I'm saying all of that to say, yeah, we did a song called Food on our upcoming project. It's called Food, Clothing, and Shelter. Where we just basically talking about how food impacts our everyday lives. From, you know, it used to be the nuclear family and you sat around the table and had dinner. You know, now it's, you know, people may take their plate and go into the room and they got their device, and you in the next room on your device, and the kids in the front room in front of the TV, like, so everybody doing their own thing. You know, people may say that's old school, but that's, you know, I was raised as like TV couldn't be on, like you couldn't have no headphones on when it was time to eat. We sat around the table as a family and talked and discussed our day, discussed things that we wanted to.
Yeah.
That helps to build some continuity within the family.
I was reared the same way, and Clarice and I, we're rearing our children that same way today.
Yeah, I think that's very important. I mentioned in the song that the quality and the lack of access to quality foods in our community leads to Black genocide. Whether people want to make those connections or not, food has a lot to do with how we think and process information. And so when you are nutritionally starved, like we starving out here, and a lot of that don't have to do with we not being able to put food in our mouths. It's the food that we are eating is nutritionally deficient.
Yes.
It doesn't have the minerals and that we need in order to sustain ourselves. So we continue to eat and eat and eat, but we ain't getting what we need.
And you go back to KRS-One. He talks about the difference between food and food stuff. That food swamp that you learned about yesterday, that's putting a whole bunch of food stuff, a whole bunch of processed food stuff in, giving you access to that, but not giving you access to fresh fruits and vegetables that are grown locally.
Right.
I'm feeling you on that. We get into the concept of the food desert there. Governor Asa Hutchinson I think it was last year or the year before, he commissioned or put together the Arkansas Governor's Food Desert Working Group. And they literally just released their report on food deserts here in Arkansas. And to come to find out that Arkansas has one of the largest concentration of food deserts of any other states. And their definition of food deserts, that in their report, in their executive summary, is a community is a food desert or low food access location if residents must travel more than 1 mile in an urban setting or more than 10 miles in a rural setting to obtain a selection of fresh, nutritious food. So that speaks right to what we've talked about earlier as far as the quality of the food that we as Black and rural communities need to ensure that we have ready access to, so that we can live productive lives. Because we talked about the physical health implications. You just talked about the mental and intellectual health implications. Am I talking craziness, or am I talking what needs to be taught, what needs to be heard?
No, you on point.
I'm
you
on
definitely
point.
on point. For those of you who didn't get it yesterday, when they talked about a food swamp is an area that's super saturated with processed food, fast food restaurants. So I'm here in Pine Bluff, Southeast Arkansas. We swamped with those options, and it's kind of like, man, what we gonna eat today? And if you're not preparing your food, like your options to get healthy food, yes, you can go to the grocery store, but I've seen people spend $100, $200 in Dollar Tree buying groceries, buying processed food in Dollar General and Fred's, because they not having access or transportation to get to the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? So majority of the food in Dollar General and Fred's and Family Dollar is processed food. People go spend their whole EBT in there. You understand what I'm saying? So
yeah, and we get back to the spectrum, and that's the whole end of the spectrum food enterprise. Right now, Family Dollar, Dollar General, I think, is it Family Dollar? It's Dollar General. Dollar General and Walmart are going head to head with each other in order to put these food swamps located near you. What we need to be concentrating on is what you brothers are doing, what other people on this call and that are participating in this conference are doing. We need to make food sovereignty, food justice accessible. We need to make fresh foods accessible. We need to make sure that locally sourced food, locally sourced fruits and vegetables and honey are accessible to our people. Another thing that I brought up is, and you just brought this to my head over Femi, is not only does the food need to be accessible, but we need to teach ourselves how to properly prepare that food.
Yes, yeah, that's a major thing. Processing it, preserving it, even just just basic food prep. Okay, I done grew some jalapenos. This jalapeno plant is producing. I'm not gonna eat all of these jalapenos. So what do? I can give away some. I can freeze some. What do I do with the food once I have grown it? So I think there's a lot of work in that area. What we do with the community garden is we try to provide that example of food to table. So we've
food to table.
Sometimes we've built a makeshift little grill using cinder blocks, an old rack out of an oven, and we'll take things out of the garden. We'll make salsa right there on the spot. We'll grill some onions and peppers and things like this. Use the collard greens to wrap and make veggie wraps right at the garden. You know what I'm saying? We try to process. So we got a lot of food. We got a lot of foot traffic come through. We offer people in the community. We take vegetables and produce to the neighbors that surround the community garden. So to get them involved, we host events in the community to get them involved. So all these different ways that you can help get people involved, but the basis is, having the willpower to want to grow something for yourself. So I started the Grow Something Challenge in 2017. It's a social media challenge, Grow Something, SUMTHIN challenge. So you can put in that hashtag and just kind of see over the years some of the stuff that we've been doing. So we've grown in shopping carts, to milk crates, to water bottles, you name it, cinder blocks, old box spring mattresses. We've grown things in tires, whatever is available, pallets. We try to show people that, listen, if grass can grow through concrete, you can find a way to grow something for yourself. So our goal is to waste nothing. Waste nothing, grow something. So.
All right, and that's a wonderful point. I want to open it up for the Q&A, and I want to have an opportunity for anybody who has a question, comment, suggestion, concern. This is a courageous space for you to bring that forth right now. There's a lot of activity going on in the chat. Is there anybody that would like to ask a question right now?
Yes, Jeffrey Webb, where are you from? Mr. Webb.
Jeff, you there? Until he comes back on, I know he's in Northeast Arkansas, McCurry. I hope I pronounced that correctly, McCurry, Arkansas. Jeff, are you there?
McCory.
McCory, thank you for correcting me. McCory, Arkansas. And I'm actually going, my wife and I will actually be going up to visit his farm in the next couple of weeks.
Or is that from Little Rock?
How far is that from Little Rock? He will be able to tell us because he was in Little Rock yesterday. Once he comes back. Jeff, tell us about where you're located and how far that is from Little Rock.
It's about 45 miles. McCory is about 45 miles away from Little Rock. That's Sherwood, to be exact.
45 miles from Sherwood.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to go use the restroom. I'm sorry.
No problem, no problem. Keep your business to yourself.
Yes.
Probably would like to see you and Brother O come to my church and speak or something, possibly. Because I think that's very interesting. And we do something at our church where we have a blessing box. And we, one of the members, the elders, put up a blessing box, and we put food in there, canned food, different things like that. And within less than 30 minutes, people just come up and grab the food. We can't keep enough food. So this could be an extension to what we're doing to really impact the community.
Right. And it's kind of cool that you say that, because ironically, this is going to be, okay, so this Sunday, go to Augusta, Arkansas, Missionary Baptist Church. My third church that I go and speak to and try to, I guess, what I would say is convince the church to put a garden in the back of the church. And then what will happen in return is I will, because I deliver to 11 stores, Cash Savers and Food Giants. So I will take their produce and put it in the mix of my work detail and sell their produce, bring them back the funds. That's how they're paying for the electricity bill. That's for their loan. That's how they're paying for transportation, their transportation bus. Morning View Baptist Church, they just bought a van. They haven't had a van since the church been there. And now that they're selling produce with us, they got, they can afford a van now. And so
that's neat.
If we can get,
I love that.
Yeah, just imagine if we can get, and just because you don't got property outside of your church doesn't mean, like Mr. Ogilvie said, man, they were growing stuff out of tires, growing stuff out of grocery, but they got these things called towers, little high towers, and it grows up, and it's in RCS you can get a high tunnel free of charge through them. The church could as an entity, and all of this is all tax write-off too. So the church, they're gonna blossom just like the fruit that you put out there.
Well,
Okay,
God
we have
bless you on that. Yeah, doing that for
Sandra's
people.
hand is up. Sandra, come on and talk to us.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I just want to start off by saying I have really enjoyed this chat. It took me back down memory lane. As I was mentioning in the chat, some of my fondest memories come from my grandmother gathering all of her grandchildren and going out alongside the freeways and picking blackberries and taking us to the strawberry farm and, shucking and shelling Purple Hut peas. And we
Purple Hut peas are the best.
Man, I didn't know how rich we were in food sustainability when I was a kid. We were always that house that we had this full pantry of everything that we had put up for the year. And just, I was teaching my children about this, and I'm like, man, y'all don't know fun until you gotten in there and you got your mason jars going and you got your sure gel and you're starting this process. It's so much fun. And you're feeding yourselves, and we fed the church and we fed our family. But I'm so glad to be here and hearing all of you and have the masters. Like, it's like a master class for me, all these master gardeners. So I thought about just starting gardening for myself. I've never really had the whole farm thing, but I'm interested now, because I have a large family and we need to be doing things better to sustain our own health. And, it starts with us. So just to hear about how to acquire the land. When I was thinking about purchasing land, it was for real estate things, never to start a garden or, to start a farm. And you all have sparked planted some seeds within me today. So I'm just glad to have you all here. And I just want to say thank you. And thank you all for sharing all that you've given us today.
Yes, yes.
Hello.
And just to integrate.
Hello.
And just to,
Okay. Yes, I am amazed. I am really.
Hold on a second, Brenda.
I am so happy to see.
Brenda, hold on a second.
Brenda.
Before you start,
Okay,
I
hold on.
want Jeffrey to go ahead and respond to Sandra.
Okay,
Yes,
go ahead.
Next.
Miss Sandra, so to say about what you're talking about. So just say if you got 4 family members inside of your family, man, everybody donate $100.
Yeah.
A piece of lot that's inside within the city, I say it's probably not gonna go no more than $1,200. So you may have to donate get more family, but you get what I'm going with.
Yes.
So if you can get the family members to donate money, buy that property, go get that property with USDA. You only supposed to you can have 0.1 of an acre, and you can get your micro loan, which is $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's your tractor. That's your funds that you'll need to get your crops going. Go to NRCS. It's all free. Go to NRCS and get your high tunnel. That's where you can be self-sustainable all year round, even during the cold. So when you go get that $50,000 micro loan, there is also a thing that's called it's a loan. You have to pay that back. But this is how you pay for that loan. You will go and after your first year of getting that loan, you will go and fill out for your new and beginner farmers grant, and it's $50,000. You use that grant to pay off that loan, which overall it's gonna help your credit. So and that grant you don't have to pay back, and. So
Jeffrey, you dropping some jewels. Put your contact information in the chat so that you guys can talk. And I'm gonna call you on that. Brenda, come on
I'm
up.
trying to write.
Let's jump in this,
Jeffrey,
Brenda.
Jeffrey, I think you got my ears. You got my, and I'm proud of you, young men. You all don't know y'all jewels,
Right?
Because the young people your age don't, they don't associate with putting your hands in the soil and making money. So,
Right.
But I like the idea of what you're saying, see, because we have property. I have young people, and I have one niece that maybe I could, if I can recruit her and myself to help out, we can do this. But I hear you saying about the NRCS and the loans and property. It's not that we don't have the property. We just don't have anyone that's interested in working the property. And I think
Brenda,
if
where's
we
your
could,
property
like
located?
you say, get you, where are my property is in Faulkner County.
Faulkner County. So we need to
Faulkner
find somebody
County,
in Faulkner
Arkansas,
County to
but
come help you with that
Conway.
land.
Oh, okay. And then you said the USDA.
Yes, ma'am. USDA.
Can they help us, are the home extension agent to start with them or something like that?
Well, you'll go to the USDA and ask for a micro loan. Really, you can go online at USDA.gov and then just type in micro loan, and you would get, and you can get it that way, the micro loan. And it's real short. It's a 3-page application. And so, and this is another thing that I want to speak about too. Is there anyone on the
let's
panel?
keep in mind we got 3 minutes left, okay? So make it concise.
Well, give me your number, I can call you.
It's on there. It's in the messages.
It's in the messages. Okay, then. Yeah, but
I just wanted
Phoebe,
to
you
add
wanted to say
something real
something?
quick.
but that's,
Every county has a cooperative extension office. Every county in Arkansas. You utilize your cooperative extension office as well. They are a major resource from soil testing to manuals, information, how to. You want to learn how to build a garden bed, a garden box, commercial farming. Your cooperative extension office in your county is a major resource. So please utilize.
And it's all free.
Yeah, it's all free. It's all free. Arkansas is one of the only states that these services are free to the community. So search out your cooperative extension office. Find out, have the questions ready, and
Okay. We got time for one more question, one more
Yes.
person to come on and
We
talk
had a
to us.
question
We
in
got
the-
2 minutes left.
We had a question from the chat. I just wanted to
Please.
do you all ever let the land rest for a year and plant the next year? I think my grandfather would do that to help the harvest.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't. No, ma'am. I really don't. Now I do rotate crops. I do rotate them. I do give back to the land as well. And that's with chicken poop.
we do composting as well. So we welcome community members. They drop off eggshells, fruit scrap, all kinds of stuff. Leaves, people drop off bags of leaves. So we use all of that stuff during the fall and the winter months, and help to feed our soil again. So
good question.
All right, we're going to end it there. Brother Obafemi, he put his contact information in the chat. Brother Jeffrey, put your contact information in the chat for everyone to see. I think you're sending it to yourself because people still saying, "Where's Jeffrey's information?"
How do you do it, brother?
Oh, we'll get it in there. I'll get it in there somehow.
Yes, sir. Okay, yeah,
All right,
please.
so, but I want to go ahead and turn this over. I enjoyed this session. I wish we could continue it, but we got a program to get to because you guys got a break to get to. So I'm gonna turn it over and thank you for your time. Thank you, Brother Obafemi. Thank you, Jeffrey. We're out.
Can you
appreciate you.
say your phone number real quick?
501-203-8125.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. This was a great panel discussion. We received a lot of resources and information from this panel discussion. And what we're going to do is bundle up all the information from this panel discussion, and we will send out a document of all this information to all the participants for today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, next on our agenda will be a 15-minute break. So use the restroom, do it, whatever you need to do. We'll have a 15-minute break and then we'll come back at 11 o'clock with Miss Sydney Baker.
Too much of anything. But I don't know about that. When it's time to prove love, we share. You know, all I know Cause every time you're here, I feel the change. Something moves. I feel